Good morning, Year 3. So we are Wednesday today. It is our maths session today, and we are going to start off with your 5 a day. So in today's folder is your 5 a day sheet, which looks like this one here. I just get it up on the screen for you. There it is. So there is today's 5 a day with the correct date on today. If you noticed, I got it wrong on Monday, didn't I? But today's is the right date. So what you are going to do is you are going to give yourself some time this morning, get our maths brains in gear, to have a go at completing those questions. Remember, we always say 5 to 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. But try and have a go at doing all of them. Once you've had a go at doing them, then you can come back to the video and we will go through them together and mark them and see how you did. So if you pause the video for now, go and do your 5 a day, and then I shall see you shortly. Okay, welcome back. Hope you managed to get on okay with today's questions. For you to make you think on there, I think, today. But as always, it's things that, you know, we have to go back and we have to remind ourselves of, and we have to think about and just make sure we've got those key ideas and concepts in our mind. So the first question then is, how many days would there be altogether in June and July? So if we had June and July, how many days would that be? So one of our things that we need to try and learn when we are in Year 3 is the number of days there are in each month. And I know we've looked at a poem to help us to remind us of that. So if we can try and get into the habit of using that poem and thinking about the numbers in each month, then we should be able to work out questions like this here. So remember, the poem begins with 30 days has September, April, June and November. All the rest have 31, except, as we know, for February, which has 28 days in a normal year, 29 days in a leap year. So 30 days has September, April, June and November. So June has got 30 days. July wasn't in that set of months that I said there, was it? 30 days have September, April, June and December. So 30 for June and 31 for July means that altogether we would have 61 days. So 61 we would have for your first question there. Okay. So the next question is 155 take away something equals 85. So we've got to find out what that something is. I'm just going to come out so you can just see the board a little bit clearer there. Okay, so 155 take away something equals 85. Now I hope you notice that our ones number is exactly the same. We've got 5 ones in each of the numbers there. So we've got to be thinking about our tens column and thinking about how many tens I have taken away to get to my 85 here. So we know we're going to be counting backwards in tens. So 155, 145, 135, 125, 115, 105, 95, and 85. So that was 7 tens that I counted back in there. So 7 tens means I've taken 70 away. So 155 take away 70 gives me my 85 there. You could have, if you wanted to as well, have added on from 85 to get to 155. That's called our inverse, isn't it, when we do the opposite? So it doesn't matter which way round you did it, because you should have got the same answer. And it's a fact, it's a good way to check, which is what we're going to be thinking about today when we're doing our calculations. But 70 is what we have taken away. So whether you worked it out by taking it away to get to that one, or whether you did the inverse and you added on a number to get to that one. Either way is fine. So let's go back to our 5-a-day to remind ourselves of our next question that we have got. It seems to have disappeared, which is not very helpful. Okay, I have found it. It was there all along. I don't know where I was looking. One of those days today. So there we go. Draw an acute angle in the space below. So an acute angle, we looked at those the other week in maths. Now, hopefully we can remember an acute angle by its name, as it's a little cutie, means that it's a small angle. So it is smaller than a right angle, smaller than 90 degrees. So you might have a slightly different looking angle here. It might look like that, or it might like that. But the angle here that you have drawn must be less than 90 degrees, so smaller than a right angle. That's what we mean by a right angle, okay? So it should look something like that. And what I'm really hoping that you did year 3 is that you used a ruler to draw your lines with as well, to make sure it was really accurate, because that's what we need to get into the habit of doing. Okay, I know I didn't do it on here. It's a little bit difficult on the whiteboard with a pen. And it's the same for our next question on our 5-a-day. Found it straight away this time. So this one is to draw an irregular pentagon. So an irregular pentagon. So let's think about those 2 words there. Now a pentagon, we hopefully know, is a 5-sided shape. Okay, so pentagon is 5-sided shape. Now, irregular means that the sides of this pentagon are going to be different in length. So a regular pentagon, we would expect to look, and again, I'm just sketching this really quick. This is probably not the best example, but something like that, where all the sides are the same length, okay? That would be what we'd expect, a regular pentagon. It means all the sides are the same length. But if it's an irregular pentagon, it can be any 5-sided shape. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a 5-sided shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an irregular pentagon. So as long as your shape that you have drawn has got 5 straight lines, 5 sides to it, then you can give yourself a little tick to say that you have drawn an irregular pentagon. Our final question today is a time one. If you start work at 10:40 a.m. and you work for half an hour, at what time will you finish? So again, we've got to think about the different parts of this question here. First, we've got a time question there. So we're starting off, we start work at 10:40 a.m. So you've started your maths activity today and you work for half an hour. At what time will you finish? Well, half an hour, we know hopefully is 30 minutes. So we need to add on 30 minutes to 10:40. So if we are counting on, and we would count on in 5s of 30 minutes, we count on from 10:40, 10:45, 10:50, 10:55. Now we're coming on to our next hour. So 10:55, 11, 11:05, 11:10. There's our 6 lots of 5 there that we counted on in. So we would finish at 11:10 a.m., 10 past 11. So hopefully that was the time that you put down there. You can do it on your fingers. If you've got a clock in front of you, you could have counted on using the clock. There's always different ways that we can try and work out the answer, but you have to find a way that works best for you. But 11:10 is the answer that we should have if we worked for half an hour. So hopefully you've marked all your 5-a-day questions now. As always, if you want to send them to us so we can see how you've got on, that would be lovely. But remember, it's mainly for you so you can see how you are getting on with the things that we have covered. So today's work is going to be done in slightly different ways depending on which group you are in for today. So the video for now is going to carry on for those children who are going to be doing the hexagons work for today. If you are doing the squares or triangles work today, you've got a different video to go and watch now. So you can listen to somebody else's voice instead of mine, and Miss Brogan's for a change. So there is a link in today's folder for you to follow. And then if you follow that link, squares and triangles, watch the video, and then there are some questions, some activities for you to have a go in today's folder that follow on from what was talked about in the video there, okay? The hexagons, you're going to stay with me. So hexagons don't go anywhere. Squares and triangles, I'm going to say goodbye to you now, and good luck with today's activity, and we shall see you tomorrow, where we're going to bring what you do today and what we've done over the last couple of days all together as a final bit for our work on addition and subtraction. So, squares and triangles, we shall see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Hexagons. So hexagons should be with me now. So what we are going to be looking at today fits in with our work that we've been doing the last couple of days on column subtraction and column addition. And it's getting us to get into really good practice of how we work out our calculations. So it's like a step-by-step process of things that we need to tick off to make sure that we're doing, to make sure that we are in a good position to get the right answer at the end of this step-by-step process. Okay, we might not always reach the right answer. Remember, it's fine to get things wrong sometimes, but if we can try and follow this step-by-step process as much as we can, then hopefully there's less chance of us making a mistake along the way, and we can spot where we've made an error. So what we're going to look at today is something that is called estimation. And it's something that is a really good thing to do if we are working out a calculation, is to estimate things first so we can get an idea if the answer that we have reached is a sensible one, okay, and makes sense and is one that we were expecting. Because if it's not what we were expecting, then we have to think, oh, maybe I have made a mistake. So this is going to show us how we can do that, how we can estimate our answers to calculations. So we've got different types of questions today. And when you go onto the worksheet today, you will see how that goes through onto your worksheet activity as well, but you'll also see it in this PowerPoint as well. So we have what we call, we're starting to dive and we're starting to have a little practice of our activities and our questions. And then we're going deeper down. So our submarine's going deeper down into the water. And then towards the end, we get to our deepest point where we're really trying to push ourselves now. So as we go through this PowerPoint today, we shall see that you'll feel that the questions will start to get a little bit more tricky, and you'll also notice the same when you do your activity sheets as well. So that's what those little symbols mean there for us, okay? So the aim is to start thinking about estimating the answer to a calculation. Now, it also mentions the inverse here as well. We mentioned the inverse in our 5-a-day questions. We're really going to concentrate on the estimating for today, okay? Although we might touch upon the inverse, but estimating is where we need to focus on, okay? So estimate the answer to 622 plus 39. Because that's the sort of questions that we have been looking at in our column addition work this week, okay? So some of you might think, okay, well, I can go and I can write my sum down, I can work it out. But before we do that, we really need to start thinking about estimating an answer. Think, right, I'm expecting it to be about this number here before we go on to working it out. So 622 is near to 620, so it's close. We round it to 620. That's our nearest 10 that it's to. 39 is near to 40. So if I take my 620 and my 40, my answer, my estimate should be 660. That's my estimate. I'm expecting when I add those two numbers there, that my answer is going to be close to 660. And if it isn't, then I've probably made a mistake somewhere. So let's just try it out together. Let's just see if that estimate is a sensible estimate for us to use. So let me just come out of here for a moment so you can see my board. So the sum was 622. Remember our column addition, so I'm going to add 39. So there's my column addition sum. Now we estimated that this was going to be, we said this was about 620 and that this number here, we're going to round it to 40. So we're expecting it to be somewhere around 660 because I'm adding my 4 tens onto my 2 tens that I've got here as part of 620. So that's what I'm expecting it to be. So let's work it out and see if that was a good estimate. 2 add our 9, or 9 add 2 is 11. So some carrying involved in this one, isn't it? So look, my 1 goes there and my 110 is going to go over here into my tens column. I've then got 2 and 3, which is 5, and that one is my 6. No carrying that time. And then I've got my 600s here. I've got no hundreds in this one. So my actual answer is 661. Well, look, our estimate is 660. We're only one off. Can't get much closer than that. So I think that we have added that up correctly. I think we have done the right thing there to get that final answer of 661. So an estimate is just that way of checking, okay, and making sure. And it's this idea of rounding to the nearest 10 or possibly 100 sometimes, if that's what we're thinking about. So let's carry on. So we thought we did a good job of that one there. Let's go on to the next one. So 2 clowns riding unicycles, very clever. Never been able to do that, always been impressed with people that can do that, are positioned at different distances across the big top as seen here in meters. So this is like a bit like a scale that we've got here when we did our work on measuring for weight and capacity. So estimate how far apart they are from each other in meters. Okay, so we can use, this is like a number line for us, so this is quite handy for us to be able to see. So we can see that the clown on the left-hand side in the green on his unicycle, now he is just before that 50 marker there. Okay, so look at that measuring distance we've got there. We're going from 0 to 100, and 50 is in the middle. So each of those little lines there, what do we think each one of those little lines is going to be worth as we go along? Could it be 2s? No, it's not going to get us up to 50 there, is it? If I count in 2s, it's not going to be enough. 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20. No, that's not going to be right either. 10s, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That works, doesn't it? So each of those little markers there are going up in 10s. So the clown in the green there, he is on the marker that's just before the 50. So if I count back in 10, that would mean he's at 40. So he's at 40 there. And then the clown in yellow, so 50, 60, 70, 80, he's on 80. So how far apart are they from each other if we use that number line to help us? They're about 40 meters apart, aren't they? First one's on 40, the other one's on 80. So there's a difference there of 40. Oh my goodness me, look at these juggling balls. So the circus uses 78 juggling balls in the opening act and 31 in the final act. It's a lot of juggling balls to be using. Which is the best estimate for the total number used? So we can see we've got some numbers here. We've got 100, 110, 90 and 120. And they want us to think, well, what's the best estimate for what's actually happened with those juggling balls there? Well, so they're using 78 in the opening act. Now, if I was going to round that number, which number would I round that to, 78? Which 10 is it closest to? That's right, it's closer to 80, isn't it? So 80 would be an estimate of that number. And then in the final act, they use 31. So if I was going to round 31 to the nearest 10, I'd be rounding it to 30. That's what it's closest to. So I've got 80 and 30. So if I add those two together, 80, 90, 100, 110. So the best estimate, I think, out of those numbers that we've got there is 110. Let's see if we're right. Yes, we are. We've got a green circle. Okay. We took the two numbers, we rounded them, we've added them together because it was an adding type of question. So we've got our estimate of 110. So if we were going to add 78 and 31 together, our answer should be somewhere close to 110. If it isn't, there's been a mistake somewhere made along the way that we need to check. Wow, look at that, coming galloping in. So which of the following calculations could have an answer of roughly 220? Roughly 220. So let's have a look at them. We've got three different calculations there. Look at each one in turn. So 312 take away 82. Well, if I round 312 to the nearest 10, I'd be looking at 310. 82 to the nearest 10 would be 80. So 310 take away 80. So if I count back, got 300, going back in tens, 300, 290, 280, 270, 260, 250, 240, 230. There's my 8 tens there. So that's giving me roughly 230. So I'm not sure that's going to be the one. The next one is 209 plus 28. So if I round 209, that's going to be 210. That's my nearest 10, then it's 2. 28 is close to 30. 210 add 30 is going to be 220, 230, 240. So that's even further away. That's what this next one does. 299. Well, that's close, really, really close to 300. Take away 78. So if I rounded that, that's 80. 78 to the nearest 10 is 80. So 300 take away 80. So it's sort of a bit like some of our number bonds there, isn't it? Because we've got our nice 10 numbers. But let's count back in our 80 just to check. So 300 take away 80. So 290, 280, 270, 260, 250, 240, 230, 220 if I take away my 8 tens. So I think that green one is the best estimate there for giving us an answer roughly of 220. They agreed with us, look, got the green star left. The sword swallower, please don't try that at home, works out that with his bag of 27 swords and 111 daggers, that he has about 30 and 110 items in total, which is 140. So he's estimating he's got about 140. So it says discuss with your partner, that's me, if you agree with him. So do you agree with him? Is he saying the right thing? So look at those numbers, 27. If I rounded that, then that would be 30. So that makes sense with what he's saying. 111, if I rounded that, would be 110. And again, that's what he's saying there. And if I add 30 and 110 together, then I would get 140. So yes, I think he's made quite a good estimation there with his rounding that he has done. Paper plates, everybody likes a good custard pie in the face, don't they? So which packs of paper plates combined will give the clowns roughly 290 plates of their custard pies? That's a lot of custard pies to be throwing in people's faces, but that's what they're wanting. So which combination is going to give us roughly 290? So we've got 152 of the blue, so that's going to be 150 if I was to round that. The green, we've got 159, so that's going to be 160. I've got the pink plates, red, depending on how it looks on your screen, 148, so that's going to be about 150. And then the yellow one's 131, so if I round that, that's going to be about 130. Let's just kind of keep track of those numbers there, because sometimes we have to jot things down to remind ourselves and see what they look like, just to keep, because remember, we are estimating. So we've said we've got 150, this is for the blue ones, 160 if we round the green ones, 150 for the pink red ones, and then 130. And we want to know which of these numbers, which of those combinations would give us roughly 290 plates. So let's have a little look at those numbers a moment and see if you can work out which two numbers are going to give us roughly 290 if I add them together. So double 150, if I took those ones, well, double 150, double 100 is 200, double 50 is another 100, so that's 300, so that's too many. 150 and 130, well, that would be 200s there, and then 50 and 30 is 80, so that's 280. Getting sort of close, but not quite 200. How about 160 and 130? So 200 and then 60 and 30 would be 90. So 290. So actually, it would be those two numbers there. Let's just go back to our PowerPoint and see which colour plates that we thought that was. That's going to be our green and our yellow plates. That gives us roughly 290. So let's see, there we are. We were right, our green and our yellow plates there. So you have got in the folder today, so a sheet that looks like that you can see on the screen there. Now the questions are very similar to the questions that we've just gone through on the PowerPoint today. So there shouldn't be anything that's going to be too new, too different, but it's really just getting you into that habit of thinking about, if we go through our process of rounding our numbers, of coming up with an estimate, and that just helps us to make sure that the final answer that we get is going to be a sensible answer, and it helps just make sure our work is that bit more accurate. So have a look in today's folder, find the worksheet, and then work your way through the activities there. The answer sheet is also in today's folder. So once you've had a go at doing the activities and coming up with your answers there, you can then have a go at marking it and see how you have got on with your answers. And then tomorrow, as I said earlier, I think we're going to be combining our estimating work, our column addition work, and our column subtraction work, and putting all that together. So good luck with today's activity, hexagons, and I shall see everybody again back tomorrow to go through the final stage of our week on column addition and subtraction. So have a good day. Bye.